Hello and welcome back to Kin in Line. I make this part 154. We're in about the 2010s, early 2010s, and our family took a little visit to a place called Boknes, which is just east of Algoa Bay, near Bushman's River mouth. And we did a walk from there to Kwai Hook, which it was previously known as False Island or Islet. It's a small island, a small little promontory really, off the coast where Bartholomew Dias in 1488 planted a cross or padroa. This was when he discovered the sea route to the east around Cape Town, and they ventured as far east as about this point where they erected the cross. So this is a drawing I did as we set off along the beach towards the Kwai Hook, which I think is where those little mountains are. This was the view looking back towards Boknes. So it was a walk of a couple of kilometers along the beach, lovely waves crashing against the shore. I'm rather pleased with the way I've watercolored this. It certainly doesn't work well when you scan it in or something, but looks quite good here on the video. So there you see the actual cross. It's a replica that they erected on top of this rocky outcrop, which is almost an island. I should have imagined at very high tide it would look like an island, especially from out at sea. When we got to the top, we noticed that the replica cross, parts of which were discovered actually below in the sea, just on the shore there. And I think 1937 they found them, and they're now at Wits University. Anyway, we've discovered that it had been quite badly vandalized, which was kind of typical for what's happening. Anyway, here is the view down from that place towards some fishermen on the rocks below. Then we're back in Port Elizabeth, and there's a place along the beachfront where vendors, usually Zimbabweans or people from up country, sell their goods that they make themselves, carvings and so forth. And these are some of the characters that I encountered there. And here's an example of some of their work with one of the people that was sitting around. So these giant, not life-size, but very tall giraffes made of wood, all part of it. I like the smug little smile on that giraffe's face. Then earlier I actually did a drawing of a chap working with a pickaxe. I'd forgotten that I'd done one, must have been later, or maybe it was the same chap. But anyway, there he is, hard at it. And so this book really gets around. Here we're in the Addo Elephant National Park. As I've said, drawing any wild animal or any animal apart from a sleeping cat or dog is pretty difficult because they don't stand still for long. So anyway, I managed to get a few sketches done from the car of these elephants, and then watercolored them later. Here again, it's hit or miss, so you just rapidly churn out the picture and hope for the best. And yeah, we got a combination so it's quite interesting to watch how they stuff food into their mouths with that trunk. And right at the top, it's just suggested, but that's actually two elephants tussling it. I've actually taken a nice photograph at Addo of an elephant with a blacksmith plover, I think it is, in the foreground. So birds aren't scared of elephants. I mean, they know they're quick enough to avoid them. I'm not saying that this bird was in close proximity to these elephants, but sorry about this page that refuses to turn. So this sketch pad really got around it. Here what I've done is a sketch in brown felt tip pen. It works quite well, that I've then used watercolor over it of the two copies, Teerbus and Koffiebus, close to that farm in the Karoo that we often visit. And here we have two of my family summiting somewhere. I can't remember quite where I did this drawing. There is another farm nearby that we visited as well. Yeah, I think it is. So this is actually near Hofmeyer. We spent a night there. Different mountains to draw and appreciate. And I quite like this combination of line and watercolor. And here the watercolor does sort of affect the line, sort of dissolves it slightly, which kind of integrates it into the picture without smudging it. And yeah, oh, now we've really moved. This was done at Clarence, in the southern Free State near the Lesotho border. So those would be the, what are those mountains? It's the back part of the Drakensberg. Names are eluding me. And some woman with her umbrella walking up the hill. I think these were done at our guest house, probably. Some flowers. Now we're on the farm near Stainsburg, and this is the legendary Red Mountain, suitably coloured in red, with typical Karoo foliage in the foreground. And yeah, I think this is the one called Bull Hook. Yeah, I've used pencil and then watercolor. And those little washes of color give it that nice sort of dynamic effect. And then after ascending, I'm not sure, I think this could be just from a little kopje next to the house. You could just climb up a few dozen meters and then you get a lovely view out across to the sort of wild mountain vista, It's just so remote and peaceful. And then this is the road. I've drawn this before, I think, where we used to go to get cell phone reception. it's on the way out to a neighbouring farm. And then a really quick one, and I quite like this sort of economy of line. Probably done at that same stop. And I've just captured these two famous koppies, little other nearby little mountains and hills, and just a touch of colour in the foreground with this foliage. Yeah, one of my nicest Karoo drawings. And of course the pencil work is what makes it, you know. So here we're back on that farm, looking out towards so-called Red Mountain, which looks a lot redder here, with a sort of gravel road in the foreground and dense bush. Not as successful as the previous one. And then this view, which I've done several times. So they call that foreground mountain Stockton Kop. And that's Loskrantz there on the right, which I've climbed twice, I think. It's one hell of a climb. Just a beautiful, quiet, peaceful sort of environment. Really only the baboons and birds break the silence up there. Again, we're now looking from that kopje just behind the house on the farm there, out down towards, so Stockton Kop would be on the left out of picture. And there's a gravel road running along with other farms sort of nestled in amongst these hills. I think this is called the Snewberg. It's all part of the lower sort of end part of the Drakensberg, really. Sort of almost begins here and heads east. And Red Mountain again, or orange in this case. And again, clearly was running out of subject matter. Not my most effective. Okay, now here I used a pen that isn't suited really to watercolor, one of these fine liners. So you can see the watercolor has kind of caused it to run, but it really works on this drawing because I've limited the use of color just to a few quick brush strokes here and there. And this is on that farm with the old wagon wheel gate and fence, nice stone wall. And on this farm they had some cats, E-I-E-I-O. And yeah, like cattle, cats are also just great fun to draw because you do it quickly and the results are always kind of a caricature. And here we've got some sort of hollyhock or something on the left. So it's a nice composite again. And two pictures really on one page. This is birds and a flower, the name of which I won't ever know. And in the same gate, wagon wheel gate, as I showed earlier, is the focus of this rather beautiful, I think, watercolour. And then looking out from amongst the overhanging leaves of some gum trees which line the sort of entrance to the farm, or towards the farmhouse, you can see loskrans, sort of framed by all the foliage. But I'm going to have to call it for now, and we'll return to this drawing book shortly on the next post. Cheers.